Alright guys, so episode 4 of my Blender Archviz course. Last week we developed the environment on a pretty basic level. We just used some planes just to get an idea on what the topography is going to look like and some staircases. And the last few weeks we developed the architecture as well on a pretty basic level. So this week we're going to be working on our first draft render. So we're going to be doing a little bit of texturing, a little bit of lighting, a little bit of landscaping, and we're just going to see how it looks, and yeah, let's get into it. Cool, so here we are in the landscape scene, the landscape file, and last week we kind of finished off creating a few camera angles. So these are the ones here, and I think the first render is going to be this one. I quite like how the lines kind of bring you into the scene. It's quite a nice composition. So what we're going to start out doing is just a little bit of basic lighting. So we're going to do some HDRI lighting, and the HDRIs that I generally use are by PG Skies. They do cost a bit of money. This is them here, but I find the quality's pretty incredible. So, not sponsored by them, but I do highly recommend their work. So, what I'm going to do is I am going to go into the main file. That's where you do the rendering. So I'm going to copy this camera and then go into the main file. Alright, and I'm going to paste that camera in here, just like that. I'm going to change this camera resolution, although I kind of like that composition, to be honest. I'm kind of a little bit, I'm a little bit conflicted when it comes to horizontal images because they don't look too good on Instagram. I'll show you guys my ones that I typically do. I mean, they work alright, but generally my renders I make for Instagram. So I'm gonna just give the 1080 by 1350 a go again one more time. I do quite like the verticals because they allow you to see more foreground and sky. The horizontals tend to cut that off, so I like the verticals because they kind of lead you into the image a little bit better. So we're going to just go with vertical for now. So starting out, we are going to add in a HDRI. So you go across to world settings. If you guys don't understand how to do HDRIs, I think Blender Guru has a really good video on that, so check that out. Yeah. So I'm just going to chuck the environment texture in and going to go across to my HDRI folder. I'm going to do daytime for now. I think 817 is quite good, but what I'm going to do now is just play around with it, see how it looks. I'm going to chuck it into cycles. We can do GPU for now. Probably won't be able to render with GPU, but we'll see how we go. Normally my renders I use CPU just because my scenes are so big that there's no way to render them otherwise. That's pretty bright, so what I'm going to do is have a look at the color management. High contrast, maybe go medium high. Gamma, I'm going to go 0.8. Let's go down to like -3. So okay, so I don't have Node Wrangler enabled in this file. You really do want to do that. Kind of the first thing that you do when you start a new file is just make sure all your add-ons are in there. So I'm going to do Node Wrangler, and what that means is that if you go Control T, it means that you can now adjust the Z value. Oh, that's the wrong one. Adjust the Z rotation, and you can essentially just rotate the sky. Yeah, I mean, And it's okay. I actually did this in my last render bunker house, which I'll chuck up now. I think I used the sky. And I like how dynamic it is. Like the clouds are very, very dark, and on the opposite side of the sky, the sun's really powerful. So it's kind of a pretty dynamic, dramatic sky. So what I'm doing now is I'm just rotating just to see how it looks. Just to see if, essentially I'm looking at two things here. I'm looking at the light direction and I'm looking at the sky brightness. And both of those two things can either make or break the composition. So this is kind of interesting, but it feels a bit flat. When it comes to the direction of the HDRI, I normally like it coming kind of on a 45 degree from the camera. So what that means is that you could have a tree in the back behind the camera and it kind of creates a shadow forwards, so it leads your eye in. I don't mind this, but it does feel a bit bright, so I might just try another another HDRI. But I do like the directionality here, so I'm just gonna try my other ones from PG Skies, and if they don't work, because sometimes the HDRI isn't right for the scene, sometimes it just doesn't work. And it's worth noting that I'm just using like a white material at the moment, so it's going to be pretty blown out. When there's actual textures, it'll look completely different. But this just helps to focus on shadows and light. This is still quite dramatic. So I'm just moving the Z rotation around, just seeing what looks good. Oh, that was the wrong one. And like sometimes this can take hours. You know, sometimes I spend an entire day trying to find the right HDRI. Obviously today I don't want you guys to have to wait hours, so I'm just going to try to find something that looks decent and then move on. This is kind of interesting. I wonder if it goes in the other direction though. Something I sometimes do as well alongside the HDRI is I'll put a tree in just to create a little bit of some shadows and just create a little bit of I was gonna say the word dynamicism. I just want the scene to be a bit more dynamic. I'm just gonna have a look around. What I might do is just try a few more. I mean, I don't mind the 1101. I'm just gonna try the 17. See how that looks. Okay, so this is quite different. Yeah, I don't mind that. Obviously the sky's super blue. I think I did another version where I changed the sky temperature just in Photoshop. Oh, okay. I think, yeah, I've balanced that out a little bit because I was on -3 and it was still bright. So I'm going to take this back to 0. Yeah, okay. Yep, I don't mind this. And what I might do in this project is I might, for the very background, I might just use some PNGs of like a mountain range or something. That's sometimes what I do, because if you're trying to do like a full mountain valley background, it's just going to be an absolute nightmare and it won't look as good as a photo. So you kind of have to pick your battles, figure out what you want to do in 3D, and sometimes it's okay to do a bit of Photoshop. Yeah, okay. I don't mind that, but okay, whatever. This is fine for now. What I'm going to do is save this, and I'm going to go into my architecture file, and I am going to just do a little bit of work on the materiality. So if I open up the co file, which is this bit here, in another project, my bunker house project, I kind of worked on geometry nodes, and and I basically developed a system where if I have an array of, because I want to do timber cladding, if I have a array of pieces of timber and I want them to be all different, I've created a geometry node setup where the each what they call island, which is kind of another object, 0.0225, each one of these, if I do an array, will essentially be different, and there'll also be a slightly different brightness or darkness value. So the UVs will actually be shifted, which is great because sometimes it takes me days to do cladding and to do UVs, because if you don't do it properly, you'll notice the tiling, and that's like the biggest thing that breaks realism is your texture tiling. So yeah. Some people will just literally use a plane and they'll chuck it on, and with displacement, I just find it's not enough. You want to actually be able to see all the way into it. So yeah, what I'm going to do is create, if I get rid of this for now, I want my Y value to be, that's 173 mils. So I'm going to do, I might even do 0.09. So I might even do 90 mils. Kind of rain screen, what we call in New Zealand, where we have kind of your cladding is out, and then you have like a batten behind it, and the batten's usually painted black, so you don't see it that well. So I like to just make all my geometry 3D and everything. And with this batten, not to get too technical, you've got your waterproofing, and then with the batten, you've usually got these little cutouts that allow water to drain. So yeah, it's quite a popular thingy to do in New Zealand. I'm gonna go 0.4 up. I'm gonna go 400 intervals. And what we're going to do in this area is we are going to integrate the garage doors. And what I might do here is I might do 0.4 and 0.4, 0.04, 0.04. So we're going to essentially blend the garage doors in with the cladding. So you won't see the garage doors, and that's quite a cool effect. You'll see like where it separates a little bit, but you won't actually see too much of, you'll see an indication essentially. And with this rain screen, what we can essentially do is have that come all the way up, and you can hide your gutter underneath in here. It's kind of a tricky detail, but it looks cool. So I'm trained in architecture. I just do renders. I used to do renders for clients, but now I just do it for myself, for my own designs. So it helps to understand, construction. Definitely helps a lot. So I'm just going to array this one. And then once we set this general framework up, we can then copy that over to other places. As long as we don't apply the modifier, we can save a lot of time, essentially. So I think that looks good. I'm pretty, relaxed when it comes to dimensions of things, unless it's pivotal, unless it's like, the size of a board or something, So I'm going to just apply an array modifier. and it's quite a nice gap. Yeah, it's always something that you try to do. It's a little bit of back and forth when it comes to this kind of stuff, because I quite like being able to see the batten behind it, but you don't want to see too much of it. So we'll see how this goes for now. One more. Cool. I actually did it on the wrong side, but that's okay. This is a prime example of that being okay, because I'm just going to duplicate that. That's the beauty of modifiers and a non-destructive workflow. So I'm going to do it there. Looks quite good. Make sure that that's not overlapping. Cool. All right, so if you guys are interested in this project, I did a breakdown on my YouTube channel, so go check that out. But essentially, this decking here has a geometry node setup. So I'll quickly walk you guys through it. So what I have here is, if I move this across, so what happened there? So what we have is, we've got our normal map, we've got our roughness map, we've got our albedo, and these are our textures. And we have the albedo going into a hue saturation value node, and this is just to reduce the saturation of the texture. And that goes into a multiply node, which goes into base color. And before all that, this looks a bit crazy. Essentially, we've just got our UV coordinates, and we've got a geometry node, and this is really the key one here. So if you guys want to copy the settings, here they are. And then this, they go into the add math node, and that vector, that's our UV essentially, and that plugs into the textures as normal. Yeah, so we've got random per island, which is kind of the magic tool there. And what that means is that each island, which is like a UV, basically randomizes, and it randomizes the color. So we've got the random per island going into the color, and that creates kind of a little bit of variation. So what I'm going to do is, in this file, I'm just going to like copy that, and then I'm going to chuck it into this file, and that just means that I don't need to set it up from scratch. But if you guys want to copy it, then just go back and check out the node tree. So just to show you guys what it looks like, I'm going to go into look dev mode. So that looks, oh yeah, is that because it's an array? So if I apply the array and then unwrap and then set my TD, I'll walk you guys through all this when we get to that stage. So, okay, that method might not work if you have a modifier. I think you need to apply it before you'll see it work. But essentially what we have is, I haven't done anything, but this node tree has essentially just randomized the color and randomized the texture location for each plank, which is great. And part of why this works is that if you can look real close, these are kind of blurred a little bit. You can see that looks a bit strange. It doesn't really matter from a distance, but the reason why this works is because I have altered this texture to not have any hard seams to it. So if I open up this albedo, I'll show you guys what I mean. So this is it here. what I've done is I've gone in Photoshop and I've just removed the gap between the boards, and that just means that when the UVs are randomized, you don't see the gap in the board, and that's super important. Okay, so now that we've learnt, I'm always learning, that you need to apply the modifier. I mean, it's okay because there's not much work that goes into it anyway, but what I might do is just carry this all the way through here, like so. And I probably won't be changing it, but if I will, there's not much work extra. I'm going to just click on my battens and extend it out here. Cool, looks good. Great, and then I'm going to apply this modifier. I'm going to mark the seams. So when I go into select mode, I'm just clicking A, going into UV unwrap, and I'm marking the seams. And then you just, before that you need to apply the scale. So I just go, wait, is it even? I don't think the array worked. I don't think it applied. So you have to apply first, and then you go apply scale, and then you go unwrap. And so I've got this little add-on called Texel Density Checker, and it's free, so I highly recommend getting it. I don't actually really know how to do I can't even remember how to do UVs properly without it, because this tool does everything. Essentially I just go 4096 because it's 4K texture. So it's normally 512, I just go 4096. I change it to 20.48, then I go set my TD. And what that means is that the texture is sized appropriately based off the object and based off the texture size. So, moment of truth, if we have a look when we add our texture, so if I just add my texture wooden planks, oh yeah, looks alright so far. Cool. So what you can see here is a little bit of color variation, and obviously the location is randomized. So I reckon that's starting to look pretty bloody mint, if you ask me. I think that should probably be a little bit more desaturated, so I'm going to take it down to 0.5. Yeah, that's starting to look good. Nice. Okay. And I just remembered that meme of the guy going, nice. Yeah, anyway. It's a funny meme. So here I'm just going to, because I want the battens behind it to be painted black, I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to just create a plane behind it to be the building wrap. And I'm just going to bring it out a little bit. I mean, you could technically just make this whole thing black. Yeah, no, I'm going to do that. I thought it was all one thing for some reason. So I'm going to, under this material, I'm just going to make this like black paint. And an important note when it comes to realism, nothing ever is 100% black or 100% white. So whenever you're doing texturing or paint, it has to be slightly off. I think it has to be a value of 0.008 maximum. That's like, in real world value, that's like as dark as you should go. Yeah, that's just some physics or whatever. Cool. So I think that looks all right. Well, just going to have a quick zoom in, see what that is. Oh, yeah, that's cool. And then in this material thingy, I'm going to increase the roughness to maximum because it's just going to be like painted wood. It's not going to be super shiny. And I think that's fine. So now that we've kind of done that, I'm going to I'm gonna, is that one applied? Yeah, because we haven't applied this one, I'm gonna duplicate this. Actually, I'm gonna chuck the wooden planks on. I'm gonna mark the seam. I'm gonna unwrap. Yeah, so you definitely have to apply the array. I'm gonna change that to black paint. And then I'm gonna duplicate this. I do a lot of duplicating when I do rendering. So you make one thing, you make it once, and then you duplicate, rinse and repeat. Because I'm lazy, and that's what lazy people do. Cool. So it's looking alright so far. Yep, lining up. I'll probably find, normally on the corners one will just overlap, and that's alright. So I'm going to apply this now. I'm going to do another unwrap. Oh, I need to set the scale. I'd normally just go all transforms just out of habit. So I've set the scale. I've just unwrapped. Now I'm going to go set my TD. Look at that. Done. Randomized. Changed text. Changed texture location. Changed color. Perfect. So it looks like there's almost a... Why is that shiny for some reason? I'm not sure why that's shiny. That shouldn't really be shiny. I'm just going to have a play it. I think it's specular. Yeah, I think specular needs to be off. Because you either have a roughness workflow or a specular workflow. Someone probably has a video on that if you're curious. Yeah, cool. So if you can imagine with that camera shot, we've got that timber there. Let's do one on this side, and then we're going to do the roofing, and then I think that's good for now. And then we'll do a little bit more work on the lighting. We might need to do the planting next week, because I try not to make these too long, these videos. I normally do, like, in the weekend, I'd normally do a project for like 8 hours or something, but I can't do that to you guys. So I'm going to apply this array, same as normal. I'm going to apply the transformations, unwrap, set my TD. Bingo, done. And I'm going to do one more here. I'm imagining that might actually be... yeah, could just be a doorway in. I was thinking it might be glazing or some sort of sliding door, but that will probably be here. Yeah, I might do a little bit of... No, actually, I might just... Not sure. Let's just try it. All right. And remember your snapping, guys, whenever you're doing stuff. You want to be accurate. We're not... what's the word? We're not savages here, okay? We do things properly. So here I'm just kind of mitering that corner like that. There's different ways you can do it, but that's the easiest way. Actually, sorry, correction, that's not a miter. A miter is when you go on an angle. So this is just like butting one into the other. So I'm just going to reduce this. I'm going to go plus 1.1. That way it goes in the other direction. So I'm going to move it to that point. And I think it might be cool to have the glazing start after a little bit of timber. So maybe it's something like this. Cool. And then I might just move this off to the side because that's actually all going to be... maybe it won't be actually. Maybe some of it will be cladding. I think that's maybe what I'll do. But that doesn't matter for now. All that matters is what we see here. So I'm going to do one more duplication, rotate 180, and this one is going to go on the other side here. And let's just see what we want to do here. I think I will do the battens like that, and then I think this will just come here, this will come this way, just like the other corner, just nice and seamless. Looks pretty good. So just like normal, apply scale, unwrap, set TD, done. Cool. I'm gonna just change this color here to black paint, and then this one here, because I think that's going to be partially glazing, I'm going to just bring this wall back to where it might finish. I'm not sure what that is. And then this is going to be black paint too. And I'm just going to do a pretty basic... Sometimes I do my windows in like a CAD program because it's more realistic, but just for this draft render, I'm just going to do a pretty basic window frame, like so, and make that black paint. Does that come out? Yeah, okay. We're going to make it black paint as well. Alrighty, what are we doing? Drunk at the wheel. And on the soffit here, it's going to be the same timber. So it's going to be a lot of timber. Here I'm going to do some sort of like corner post, which the glazing will be a part of. Annoying. Okay. So let's just make sure that that's stopping at the correct point. Oh, that's actually, I see. Okay. So I'm just going to duplicate. Has that got the batten on it? Oh, it does too. Cool. So I'm going to just get into here. Select the batten. Duplicate. We're going to rotate it the other way, and we're going to chuck it up to there. So we're going to have timber on the ceilings too. So it's going to be like super timbery. And the direction of the timber matters a lot because sometimes it looks a bit weird. I like to line mine up like that. But sometimes if it's going a really long span, it makes sense to go the other direction, if that makes sense. So I'm going to just do that for now. Does that line up? Almost. Let's see if I can just nudge that. I'm sure that's fine. Cool. So that's starting to look pretty good. What I might do here is duplicate this again, rotate 90 degrees, and I'm going to make this 1. And this is going to be our fascia board. If that will work. Like that, maybe. I might just cheat and make this the same height. Yeah, looking quite interesting. Okay, so with roofing, there's a few different ways you can do it. it depends on what kind of roofing you're going for. If you're doing like a long run kind of Euro tray where you see the lines, that's a lot easier. If you're doing like a corrugate, that's a bit more difficult. What I might do is there's no golden bullet when it comes to roofing, I think. What I normally do is I just copy it from a previous project, and I'll just change the length as I need it. So I'm just going to quickly go into another project. Alright, so with this project here, this is one that I did a little while ago. It didn't end up really being like this. It changed quite a lot. What I'm going to do is just copy this corrugated roofing, and this was actually a crazy project, by the way. All of these rocks are like they're scattered because I wanted the gravel to be perfect. So I'm a bit I'm a bit of a nutcase when it comes to realism. Cool. Well, that actually ended up being almost the right angle. I'm gonna just save this, and then I'm gonna close this down because it's a pretty big file. Cool. So I'm gonna rotate this 90 degrees, and I'm gonna go into just the orthographic view. So what wonder what angle that is. I think I just guesstimated. What I might do is make this like 32.5. 32? Is that really 32.5? Damn, that's steep. No, it can't be. Make another plan. 32.5. So that's what it should be. Okay. So there are a few angles when it comes to roofing that look good, like from an aesthetic level. I'm just going to give it a bit of thickness so I can copy it. Now you might be asking why I don't just type the number in. It's because when I modeled this, I don't know, I think the rotation wasn't applied or something, so it's a bit buggy. Like that says 57.4 or something. Anyhow, that's fine. You only have to do it once. So I'm gonna just snap this here to this point. So you can kind of see there can be a little gutter here in this space, which is quite helpful because you won't actually need to see the gutter. And then I'm just going to bring this down. So that you won't actually see it. It's just to provide the framework. And I'm just going to array this. That almost lines up perfectly. That's epic. And I'm also going to go into the local view. Hopefully that works. Cool. So I'm going to just drag it back to the apex. Just like that. And then I wonder if it would work if I just mirrored it. I'm always trying to find ways to... Where's the mirror? Yep. On the y-axis? No, Z? Flip. No, doesn't work for some reason. So, it might be local. I'm just going to rotate it 180 degrees, bring it back, line it up, and bring it across. Nice. So we have our first roofing. Normally there's like a little cap at the top as well, so I'm going to just... what's the best way to do that? I might just create a cylinder for now. Rotate this. And then scale it down, way down. And this essentially just stops rain from getting right on the top. It's pretty basic modeling, but does the trick, because you don't really notice it too much as long as it's there. I might just drop it down a little bit more. Yeah. I don't know. I might put more detail into it at a later point. This is just meshing it out for now. Cool. Okay. I'm just going to duplicate all of this. Rotate it 90 degrees. Just like that. And I'm going to go into the side angle. Like that. Hopefully that lines up. Nice. Looks like it does. In that case, I'm going to delete that. Delete that. I'm going to copy all of the roofing and then just chuck it straight on. And then if I want to change the angle, I can, but I want to work quickly for now. Cool. All right, that's good for now. Cool. Okay, so let's quickly, actually, before we move into the other file, I'm going to just do some decking here. So I'm going to duplicate this, rotate this along the 90-degree axes. That's starting to look like a church. So the direction of decking can be quite important sometimes. When it comes to a pool, you always want the decks, the pieces of timber to run, I guess, perpendicular to the direction you're getting out, just from a slipping point of view. From this point of view, because the decking runs up to the cladding, which also runs up to the ceiling, that's the effect that I want to create. Because I think it's kind of cool. And why not do something that, well, I always do something that I think is cool. That's why I find this so fun. So when it comes to the deck joists underneath, you will probably see it, so it's worth it to get some sort of real dimension there. So I might go like 0.45. Let me just get rid of the array for now. In terms of the Z, is it? Which one's that? So I'm gonna go. I might just go 0.9. Oh, 0.09. I might just go 0.045. That's 450, and then that's 190. 190 by 45 mils. Yeah, it's okay for now. Doesn't matter so much, but I like to do this kind of thing. Just applying the scale, unwrapping, applying the texel density, and we're just going to array this. To a decent degree. Cool. Okay, that's probably fine for now. I'm edging to get into the other file and see how it looks. Unwrap one more time, set TD, done. What I might do, just as a last step, is just kind of finish that edge off, just so you don't see that. So I might just duplicate this, change it down to, actually, this is even better. Duplicate that one above. I love how things just line up, it's great. I'm just going to pull that back a bit. So realistically, you probably won't even see it, but it's just nice knowing that it's real, it's working. Cool. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Let's just see what this material is real quick. So this is a rust material that I brought, but at the moment it's just galv. I don't know. We'll see how it looks anyway. I mean, this is a cool material because you can kind of add rust, and that's what I did in this project here, Rust House. So what I'm going to do is go into the main file. I'm going to save that. I'm going to go into main file. And now that I'm in the main file, damn, that's already updated. Cool. That looks kind of sick. So I'm going to go into render mode. Let's see how it looks. All right, so let's just do a little bit of look div. Let's play around with the rotation a little bit of the sun. Okay, that's kind of interesting. I might just zero that out. I want to see what it looks like to have it. Yeah, I'm not sure about that galvanized material. I think I have another one, but we can look at that next week. But just as an example of kind of how I might further compose this image. Alright, so there's this ash tree by 3D Shaker, and that's a really good tree that I like. And I'm going to just paste it into the main file. Eventually I'm going to chuck it into the environment file, but just to finish this section off, I'm just going to have a look at how this tree affects the lighting and the general composition. So I'm always trying to create some sort of foreground, something to lead the eye in. It might be a series of ones. I do like how it kind of affects the cladding a lot, so I'm going to duplicate that and see what else I can do. Bring it across. It's kind of interesting, so you can see how it kind of flows in, but that's not bad. Yeah, I mean, I guess this is probably a good spot to finish at. We've got we've got some cladding, we've got some lighting, we've got a little bit of composition. So yeah, I think it's definitely a good proof of concept for this render. So next week I'm gonna, try to find a better HDRI, maybe try to get some planting in there, and it might take a few episodes before we finish this render, but I think it's definitely a good start. So stay tuned for the next one, guys, and like and sub if you enjoy this. Peace.